father was at the house and he had a bunch of Filipino friends come on, you know. It's a rarity in New York at that time. And they all used to get together. Either they played cards or they came over the house and they were speaking Tagalog. And I didn't know what they were speaking about. And I couldn't understand why my hair wasn't like my father's. You know, he had jet black hair, and I said, "Dad, how do I get my hair like that?" He says, "You want your hair like that? I'll fix it." So what he did was, my father was a chef cook, and what he did is he made this brew of coconut oil, right? And he says, "Oh, we use this back home." I said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah." So the only problem was when he administered the coconut oil to my hair, it was plastered down like it was jet black. But the only thing is, it wouldn't move. It was pasted forever. And then the smell stayed with me for a whole month. I couldn't get it out of my hair. And I said, "Dad, you gotta get this out. I can't go to school like this." And then that was whimsical, but that was probably one of the first experiences I had that he tried to tell me something about an old Filipino remedy. Well, you know what? I struggled when I was younger. And you know, you always wanted to know your identity because I was mixed. I didn't grow up with the normal prejudice that most people do. In my neighborhood in Spanish Harlem, I went to school with Japanese, Spanish, Irish, you know, what have you. So, but we always used to kid each other about our national, you know, origin, but never dawned on me that there were problems. But me, myself, I didn't really identify who I really was, being my mother was black, my father was Filipino. And then the whole neighborhood was Spanish. You know, they were Latin Puerto Ricans, so I had to learn the language. And as I grew older, and of course I recorded Ordinary Guy originally, and that was sort of like my theme song about how I am. You know, like even to this day I don't drive a beautiful car. But what it dawned on me, I decided at this time in the early 70s, I said, you know what, I gotta make a statement because I'm part Filipino and nobody really knows. You know, everybody thinks that I'm Puerto Rican, you know? Not that it matters, you know, but it did matter to me because I had to have a sense of belonging. And I didn't really have that like other nationalistic groups. You know, they were very conscious at that particular time about, you know, nationalism. So I didn't really have that. And then I decided to name the album Afro-Filipino. And I thought that would identify me. And then I took the song Ordinary Guy and redid it once again, which I've recorded about 7, 8 times. And little did I know that the message was slowly seeking out to the public. It wasn't until maybe 20, 30 years later that I was recognizable that like the young Filipinos on the West Coast knew about me. And then they told me stories about how I would be in the Filipino Museum in San Francisco, where they felt that I was a part of them from the Yellow Seed, that they had the newspaper, and different little things I started to follow. So then gradually I started to feel, how do you say, wanted. And then I guess it wasn't until I started going to the Film Arts Festival, meeting Kat and yourself and friends, and then I found out there were a lot of Filipinos like myself that were mixed, you know, all over the world, you know, and then it was just like a homecoming for me, you know, and my father would have been proud because he always wanted to go back home. That's all he ever talked about. He says, you know, I'm going to retire, I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to live on the pesos, and, you know, I'm just going to live in luxury. And he died before that dream materialized. He saw me become an artist, but he never saw me when I was embraced by Pinoys. And that would have really put a smile to his face because he knew what I went through in my identity crisis and then all of a sudden to be accepted. And then to have this huge fan base up in San Pedro and around California was just a blessing. The next point, to play in Francisco wasn't very easy. We started out with people that volunteered and just to get my name on the map. And I knew at that time I wasn't giving the full projection of Joe Bataan. But I guess everybody was patient because every subsequent year that I went to the festival, I was called back, we kept improving. We kept improving on the sound, the number of musicians that attended, and it wasn't until the last festival that I played that you could really see the love starting to come because people were singing my song. And that is one of the greatest feelings and the compliments that you could ever get. And when they started to sing Ordinary Guy, Afro-Filipino, it like brought tears to my eyes because I thought of my father and I said, wow, Dad, you would have really been proud of me now, you know? I said, because here's our people and they appreciate what I've done and now I feel like I belong and I have a home. And that's pretty much why when I always come to the West Coast, I always call up the guys, Cat, you know, Winston and Jilly and everybody, because they're like brothers and sisters to me. You know, they always there to support me. And you know, my fan base here, the Raza, they love me to death. You know, and that same support I got in New York from the Puerto Ricans. You know, and it's just a whole love affair that I have with my music, and I just appreciate it. And it's a God-given gift to me. That I can share that with my public. Okay, God bless. Thank you so much, Roque, and God bless all my fans out there.